this is the Gem Book Reviews. I'm back! I came back! I'm finally back on booktube. It's been a while. Today I wanted to talk about some of my favorite 5-star reads. The first one I'm going to talk about is Stolen Voices by Lesley Ann. Stolen Voices is a pop star slash kind of like a bodyguard, but he's not really her bodyguard. He's kind of like her boss. It is the second to last book if you're not including the novella that comes afterwards. It's not released yet, but the cover reveal just came out today. You can check it out on my Instagram page at the Gem Book Reviews or at Lesley's Instagram page. Eli is part of the Miller brothers. He is the last Miller brother to get a story and one of the ones that I've been anticipating since she created Stolen Hearts, which is one of my personal favorites out of the whole Miller brothers gambit. Essentially, in this story, Eli has had a long-standing crush on Callie since they first locked eyes when she signed up under their management team. And because Eli is so guarded with himself, he's like, no, I will not have a relationship with you, Callie. I cannot. You're just this pop star bubblegum princess and I can't have anything to do with you. I will not touch you. I will not look at you, and I refuse to work with you. Eli is now tasked with looking after Callie on these suspicious incidents that have been happening with her during her practice for her tour run, which is his worst nightmare, is having to be close proximity to Callie. She's a bratty princess and he's this dominating, like, kind of guy. He just really likes to be in control of his own emotions, and Callie is the person that just tornadoes his whole life. And I love them so much. I gave them 5 stars. I just absolutely love this whole series, and Eli's story was one of the ones that it just touched my heart so much, and I really love his story, and I've wanted him since the second we saw him as Jace's younger brother in Stolen Hearts. And I've been waiting for the story, and with each brother I'm like, hey, where's Eli? What's going on? There's been little tidbits along the way that have just made me feel like we needed his story, and I'm so glad she finally gave it to us. If you hurry up and read his story, you'll be ready in time for when Stolen Holidays comes out, and you can read the novella with all the brothers. It's a bunch of shenanigans. It's so fun. It's a family Christmas novella. I'm still in the midst of reading it. Looking at Lesley like that because I have taken my sweet, sweet time with the Miller brothers, because after this, they are done. They are over. And I'm going to be very sad that it's the tail end of everything. But they are dear to my heart. I love them so much. I have all my merchandise off to the side. You can't see it, from Lesley's beautiful writing. I love them. They are my favorites. I have reread Eli's story twice. I've read Cam's story twice. I'm reading the novella right now, and I really want to go around and reread Stolen Moments and Stolen Hearts again from the very beginning, because those are just so... When I think of vacation romance, I always think of Jace's story with Rylan, and it touches my heart. I cry every time. And it's just something that I will never forget as a reader. I highly, highly recommend anything written by Lesley. She is phenomenal. I love her. I consider her one of my close friends. And her writing is just the best. And I'm so proud of her for all the work she's done in this. It's just incredible. So please check out her books. They are amazing. And on to the next. So the next book I'm going to talk about is Steal a Kiss by Julia Jarrett. I love Julia Jarrett. I have a whole swag of them. You can see them, if I can get my finger up there, right there. And there are more up above that you can't see. And as well, there is one off to the side that you can, yeah, right there. My bedazzled Catch Your Heart copy is sitting right there, as well as my regular copy up above. Julia is one of my favorite authors of all time as well. She is very known for her small town romance and now her baseball series that is coming to an absolute end with the one I'm reading right now, Curve Into Forever. And it is a baseball series. It is called The Vancouver Tridents. In Steal a Kiss, it is Rhett's story, aka the Southern Gentleman. And I loved Rhett. He was everything I ever wanted. His relationship with Evie is this story, and Evie is actually one of Rhett's baseball brothers, Kai's younger sister. So it's a kind of forbidden romance because Kai and Rhett are like best friends. They spend all the time together, and of course Evie is always been the off limits sister. You cannot touch her, you cannot talk to her, you cannot look at her. She is off limits to you, period. But of course, Rhett and Evie had a past where they had a small little kiss. Evie took as, he is not interested in me and that is never going to go anywhere, and Rhett took it as a, she's off limits, I can't have you and I want you in the worst way. Evie now is in a place where she needs a roommate because she has this little tiny little dog that, well, she's not tiny. In my mind, she's tiny, but she's like a Great Dane mix somewhere in there. But I picture her to be this teeny tiny little, like, I don't know, Yorkie cute sass ball. She's not. She's like a Great Dane mix. She's huge. That's just a brain thing that I have where I created her in my mind to be very small and petite because I have a small petite dog. Has this dog and the dog needs someone to care for it, and because Kai's apartment does not allow dogs and Evie's apartment does not allow dogs, Kai signs Evie up to live with Rhett just for the sake of forced proximity, which is one of my favorite tropes. But of course, there's a love story there. I love it. It's fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And of course, all the Vancouver Trident series I love. And I'm once again sad that it's coming to an end. But we're getting more things and more stuff is coming from Julia. So stay tuned for that. The third book I'm going to talk about is a little bit farther off of the small town. For, you know, it's still Forks proximity because, of course, I was in a very big Forks proximity phase when I read all these books clearly because they're all 5 stars. This one is called Lethal by Cassandra Robbins. So this book takes place where there is the MC club called the Disciples, and the Disciples of course have their hands in some drugs and other bad guy type things. Eve lives in this teeny tiny trailer park outside of, or attached to, this carnival that's been going on because she works for the carnival as sort of a way to keep very little money because her dad is very, very sick, on the edge of dying, and the only way Eve can supplement some income to save her dad is by working at this carnival that they're somewhat attached to. The Disciples are connected to this carnival and they kind of filter drugs throughout it. It's part of one of their dealings. So one day Eve is working the carnival a couple years prior to when the book starts, and she runs into Blade McCormick, who makes her this deal. Like, he will leave her alone because at the time she's kind of underage and she's completely off limits to him, but he's very much interested in her, and if things don't improve and they don't get more money, he will be back and he will take her as a dealing. Eve's brother is very much into drugs. He did some bad dealings and ended up where, of course, Blade has to come into town and clean all this up. He comes back, threatens the dad, and Eve says, no, take me instead, I'll be the bait. If you just leave my dad alone, I will come with you, or whatever. And of course he kidnaps her, and they start pursuing a relationship together. There's a lot of up and downs in this book because Eve is not used to the motorcycle life or the MC club rules, the things that go along with it, and how these men treat their women. This is kind of a more rough, dark book, I would say, but there was something about it that just really intrigued me, and of course there's stuff that goes on there, you're like, oh, okay. But I really love the side characters. Dolly was one that I really, really loved. She's kind of another motorcycle gang member's ex-girlfriend, but because she's still in the Disciples adjacent, she befriends Eve early on in the series, and they just, her and the gay hairdresser that Dolly's friends with, I can't remember what his name was. He didn't really have a name. He was just kind of a side character that kind of was in the background all the time. They go and they kind of like take Eve in and like show her how to be part of this MC, and it's like a found family within all those characters, and the other motorcycle guys really grow to love Eve too and take her in as their own. I don't know, something about this series, I really love it. I'm really interested to read Dolly's story eventually because I know it's like the second or third book in the series, and you get to see all the drama behind what's going on with her and her ex and whether or not they get back together in the end. Blade, he's a bad boy, a designated bad boy, but something about him and the way that he works with Eve and he falls for her and he's such a sap for her really just got me. I loved it. 5 stars. The next story I'm going to share with you is The Likely Event by Rebecca Yarros. This book, the way that I love this book is just unmatched. This is the second chance of all second chances. I can never ever listen to Northern Downpour and not feel about this book. This is the sweetest, most like heart-wrenching, long-winded romance story of a second chance. Like I think about them more often than I not, and I really am so glad it's finally gonna get an adaptation because it deserves it like full throttle. This is one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life, and it just, I think about it constantly. Izzy Astor is our female main character. She takes a job where she essentially knows that she might run into her ex, Nate. Nate and Izzy meet a long time ago, and this book spans over several years of longing and sadness and heartbreak and despair, and just wraps you up in the biggest hug. And I promise you, you will be happy with the ending. You will not be like sobbing your eyes out. You will be satisfied. It's one of those meet cutes where Izzy and Nate, they meet on a plane. Something really big happens on the plane, and then they start a relationship. And then it goes from there, from like years afterwards of the downfall of their relationship. Now they're adults meeting again for the first time in several years, where Izzy has put herself in harm's way for working for this kind of non-profit government job where she knew she would run into Nate if he was working in the military. It's, once again, forced proximity because they are forced to work alongside each other and go through all their issues side by side of all the things that they have not talked about since the alleged, I can't talk about it, situation happened. This book is so worth it. There's so much tension, there's so much groveling, there's so much what if, will they, when they, just fate playing into parts of the story, and it's just, they wove in like soundtrack elements that when I listen to those songs I almost like start sobbing because I remember just how much it hurt these characters and it grew these characters. And Izzy and Nate's story just like lives with me in my absolute soul. It gives Dear John, if you love Dear John, you'll love this. Like such a 5-star, astounding 10-star. I would give it 10+ stars. Amazing book. Highly recommend. I have not read Fourth Wing. I read this first and I'm glad I did because it is completely, I mean, this is not fantasy. This is contemporary romance in its core. This was just something that I am not gonna get over very easily. But yes, Izzy and Nate's love story is, in the likely event, the title does play a big part into the story, and you'll find that out in the end, and when you do, you will sob, because I sobbed. Now the last book I'm going to talk about is Killer Research by Jen McKinley. I physically buy every single Jen McKinley book, either before I read them or after I read them, because I have a giant love of them and I would reread them all again. This is one of my favorite of all time cozy mystery series. It is The Library Lovers by Jen McKinley. But this one is amazing because it takes a big element of it is faced around the lemon. The lemon is one of my favorite characters. She is just this sourpuss, if you want to say, of a woman who has worked alongside Lindsay at the library. They have always kind of butt heads. Lindsay is more of a perky, cheery person, always into mysteries, kind of nosy, and the lemon is very stoic, very straight-laced, very everything by the book. And in the last couple books, she has grown so much as a character, and you begin to love the lemon just for who she is, and you expect her to have a little bit of sass and grit. The whole thing is just phenomenal, but this takes place around the lemon. They find a body in the back of the lemon's car while she is running for government, of course. So now Lindsay has to make sure she can clear the lemon's name and make sure that the lemon will become the next government body, the next mayor, essentially. But it is, did the lemon do it? Because it has a lot of ties to the lemon's past before she ever came to live in Briar Creek. I was gonna say, I know it's Briar Creek, but I had to look. So Lindsay doesn't know a lot about the lemon's past, and now she's kind of forced to find out. Did the lemon kill somebody, or is somebody framing her because they don't want her to be the next mayor? Love a good cozy mystery. I'm a big fan of Donna Andrews as well, but this series is my diehard. I will read it all the time, and just every time I read one, it just brings me back to Library Lovers, Briar Creek, Lindsay, Sully, the lemon, and all their friends. It makes me so happy, and I just would always recommend somebody pick this up and read this entire series. I started from the very beginning. I don't know how it would be to start in the middle or wherever and go back and forth. I did that with Donna Andrews' series. I just started like a book like, I don't know, 15 and kind of jumped around, and that was fine. But this, I highly recommend reading from start to finish. I have to slow pace myself because they only come out with like, I think one a year, and I'm catching up to being at the very end, and I do not want this series to end. It is such a good one. It's another whodunit. Gotta love them. Anyways, guys, that's kind of it. And until next time.